Welcome to BS session 32. You know, you guys, if we do this right, we're going to offend some people tonight.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Holistically Speaking podcast.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Immediately.
Did it cut off on my computer? It cut off.
And those things always, they either start halfway through or end early or whatever.
That's got to get its shit together.
You know what? You should write a letter
I should write
to
a
someone.
letter. Well, I mean, it's not like we're not paying for the damn platform. They should at least make it work properly.
Oh, well, that's a lot.
Hey, look who's here.
Hey.
Hey guys.
What do you know? You got a full belly now? You're all good?
Yeah, I got a full belly.
Yeah, mama pat your head and slap your ass and send you downstairs.
Exactly.
Before you incriminate yourself, we are already live.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Before you start talking about all the kinky sex stuff.
Whoa, nobody was going there.
No.
I just thought it was,
Yeah.
good family unity there. That's all I was going for.
Right. Yuka Kazi loves Oscar for what it's worth.
Aw, isn't that romantic?
It's a love affair. Yeah.
What about Rob? Jesus.
Well, come on, guys. Jeff said hi, Rob.
Hi, Jeff.
Okay, sorry.
It's a little underwhelming, Jeff, given Yuke's comment, but
yeah. Alex, how's it going?
Yeah, Alex from Affordable Optics and Rifle Reviews at Epic Arms on YouTube. How's it going, boys? He says.
Good.
Bueno.
He's here.
Bueno.
Muy bueno.
Hey, Alex, you going to be getting your hands on an SRV2 or what? I need to know because I'm not. It's okay. You guys can keep talking. You don't have to wait for it to
I was just kind of encouraging the uncomfortable silence there for a while.
Let's just sit in it for a while, shall we?
Yeah, we want that.
Yeah.
Silence.
I'm doing as much talking as I can at the beginning of the show because once you guys get into the meat and potatoes of the ins and outs of reloading versus hand loads, and you start talking ballistic coefficients and tangent ogives and powder loads and small and large rifle primers, I'm pretty much going to be sitting here twiddling my thumbs and drinking my Diet Coke.
Nice. And drooling a little.
Who has
bit.
primers?
You got some right there.
Yeah, we need a primer alternative.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
And I'm okay with the drool. The drool can stay right where it is.
You know what I got from folks at CCI and Federal. They're sharing the same set of booths, I guess, down at SHOT Show. Is that the guy didn't even want to talk to me about it? He says, like, seriously, dude, I got nothing. I have no answer for anyone. So any interview that you might want to do would be like this. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't that give you a feel good? Hey.
Crazy.
Yeah. Now, wasn't there were rumors flying around about some new company starting up primer manufacturing, and that this was sometime before Christmas, maybe a month or two before Christmas, and I haven't heard anything in this new year at all. So I don't know if you guys have heard anything or
no.
Mm-mm.
No.
That's great. But
so
for the
how does that happen? Like, how did they fuck all that up? Like, I mean, if powder's starting to become more available, bullets are starting to become more available, factory rounds are starting to become more available. How the fuck are primers still lagging behind?
Probably because
everybody's right.
It.
Yep, that's
right.
Exactly.
I didn't actually hear what Rob said. All I heard was Rooster.
OEM stuff, factory ammunition.
Yeah, the OEMs are taking the primers at this point, probably.
Yeah.
So
So
they're just
every
not manufacturing enough primers compared to powder and brass and bullets.
Probably.
yeah,
What
everybody's
the fuck?
citing the conflict in Ukraine. Everybody.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I think so too, but
I mean,
whatever.
it's
It's
Like, are the primer
Con-
companies making tanks too, or
considering that's a war that's got 7.62 by 39 on both sides, and that stuff is stacked deep in
yeah,
bunkers all
yeah.
across that okay.
yeah?
Mhm.
If they were going to run out of it so quickly, then how can they keep shipping all the surplus to us for the last 20 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, oh, okay, I'm a little upset right now.
Yeah.
What?
Jeff B says, I just got 1,000 primers for $52.
Well, la di da.
What the heck?
I hope it gagged you on the way
Bloody
down.
frickin' da!
Jeff is the
I'll
most
give him
unpopular guy
55.
on here tonight.
I'll give him 55. I'll give him 57, but no reach around.
So, like you guys have all seen primer ads on gun nuts and stuff like that. Hey, like $1 a piece, $2 a piece, shit like that. Like unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's I I can't help but feel it has something to do with our government as well, and nobody's talking. Nobody's talking.
Yeah, hard to say.
Well, it started out with something to do with the U.S. government. I mean, we went into COVID with a shortage thanks to U.S. elections and talk of gun ban stuff like that. Like, this isn't the first primer shortage I've ever seen. It's just the longest one I've seen.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Like, this is at least
So
the third
maybe-
primer shortage I've went through.
So here's what I wonder, and like I don't even know if anybody could possibly even know the answer to this, but what does it take to start manufacturing primers?
Money.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
obviously, but any more than anything else, like
not necessarily
sure,
as
like
far as
somebody's got to be
machinery
able
is
to find a
concerned.
sugar daddy and open a factory, right?
Yeah. But I think it's the controlled component of it, of the primer, like the steel, whatever you can find a way. The machinery, it's specialized machinery, but it's available and it's not regulated in any way. But the compound within that primer, I imagine, is the problem because part of that is regulated, at least in Canada. So
Yeah, I don't know
So-
if even the regulation would be the problem. I think if you're going to do it in Canada, you'd have to do it with the intent of the focus of your business model being American and worldwide, right?
yeah,
Canada,
enough to
Canada cannot be your business model for doing anything like that, right?
not at all. Not at all. There's it's
Um,
not a broad enough market.
at a decent price point, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine your return on investment for
Well-
$1 million setup?
Right.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
Your
So what-
rate of return is
What do
gonna
you
be
guys-
very poor.
What do you guys think of this? Boom Country Hydrographics says China, that's raw materials come from. I think he said that a little bit like Yoda, but I think what he's trying to say is that the raw materials are coming from China, which would make it difficult to manufacture here. What do you guys think about that?
That could very well be. Again, not knowing exactly what is the ingredients for a primer, I couldn't comment with any degree of
No.
accuracy. But
Yeah.
if
There-
that's a source for some of it, that's a bottleneck. Just look at the fecal chip shortage, right?
Yeah. And any smaller company starting out, where do you suppose you're going to be placed on the priority list given your order sizes?
Right. You'd have to go with a pretty big check to step in the front of the line. I can tell you that.
So I guess that really, we'll get to Jens's comment in a second here. I think that's what Oscar was laughing about, but it kind of, I guess when you think about it, you can't manufacture in a vacuum any of this sort of stuff. You have to have your. So I guess that we're kind of answering the question as we're talking about it, aren't we? Which kind of blows. Like, I mean, like you have to have your raw materials, then you have to have your. Yeah, man, that's just a shit show. No,
when we look at where we are fortunate in Canada for Canadian firearms products, you got MDT, Trigger Tech, Cadex. Those guys are international barrels. Where are those guys scoring big? Right, U.S. market and around the world, and
overseas,
overseas, right? So I guarantee they're making money off of Canada, but they're not. It's not like they sat around the beer table at night with, hey, let's do this and for Canada. Let's do it for Canada.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
Well,
they're definitely
frankly,
filling a void, but
100%.
But whether the manufacturing is in Canada or in the U.S., I suppose if they're manufacturing in Canada and they're going to serve the U.S. market as well to relieve that market, then you have all the problems with export. You may as well just open up in the U.S.
And I'm not sure if the exporting is such a big deal. Otherwise, they would be in the States, right? But, we are definitely benefiting from those guys being in Canada, and I will always be grateful to them for doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
But when it comes to ammunition, primers, that kind of stuff, I think there's a reason why we don't have that here already. I mean, Score does a good job with their shotgun ammo.
Yeah.
But
they're probably not manufacturing primers, are they? Or are they manufacturing any components, or are they just putting?
I would say they're
putting cartridges together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, crazy. Well, does this lead into our current topic of discussion? I suppose that's one strike against hand loading, isn't it?
Sure is these days.
It sure is. But weigh that against factory ammo availability. And not being a factory ammo purchaser, I don't know what that availability is like. And I get that it differs across the board.
Yeah. So pick your cartridge. Some guys are winning, some guys are losing. Imagine being a 6.5 PRC guy. You're crying.
Oh, and have been for a couple of years. Sure.
Yeah. Now I shoot 308, and I still have days where I'm like, it was just there, and now it's gone, and it's 308, right? I mean, there's hunting loads out the wazoo for 308, but when you're looking at the target side of things,
even anything like, your bigger stores maybe have some 308 stuff like that, but like 2 falls ago, I was in Home Hardware, and somebody came in looking for 308 ammo in hunting season, and they got laughed at by the store owner, basically.
You have to consider too, like a small town out in the middle of almost nowhere, Canada. That's almost residual stock too. It's not commonly rotated stock either.
Right.
And those little stores too, like they place their order once a year, whatever they get it, they don't. Like the gun stores, they're bugging their wholesalers weekly. What do you got in stock? What do you got in stock? What can I get? But your home hardwares, your little town hardwares, they order and they either get it or they don't. And they probably don't order again for a year.
Right.
So right now they're really hurting for any selection out there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Look at this.
Taking you guys back
comment.
I was just gonna say, go ahead, Kurt. You got it. You're
Fred
on
Thompson. Fred Thompson says there is a glimmer of hope. Rumor has it Fiocchi is building a primer plant in the U.S. Federal is said to be increasing their primer production.
Nice.
Interesting. Wouldn't that be nice? I think we can use all the help we can get. Eye of the needle maker. We have some interesting titles today.
You just saw that?
Yeah. I don't look at Robbie. Intimidates me.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at the doomsday clock and where it's moved to, I think there's pressure on the manufacturers from government levels to increase things like components, because we've sent so much of our own stock. Like, look at Canada. So much of our reserves of ammos have been sent to the Ukraine conflict, right? So we have to, even on a government military level, it needs to be replaced. So I think companies like Federal have been, if they haven't been given extra funding, they probably have been promised it.
That's interesting. I don't know how the hell that plays out in Canada with, well, I mean, I have my own suspicions about agendas and shit, but
Hmm.
I I
I do
suspect
have
depletion across the board is sort of the end game.
I do have two questions based on what you said, Rob. First of all, is there an official doomsday clock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Follow up to the first question: who controls it?
The U.S.
Oh, what else is new? And second, has it actually moved?
Yeah. Yeah. I forget where it's at, but it's like, I think like a minute or less than a minute to midnight.
I think I
Yeah,
heard
I
90
think
seconds the other day. Somebody said
90
90
seconds. I thought it
seconds.
was
Yeah.
less than a minute, like for the entirety of the Cold War or something, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, I
They
was
must
going to say.
after that they must have like moved it back.
They did.
Oh, so
Yeah.
the Americans can time travel. They moved the
Yep.
clock back.
So I'm familiar with this concept and everything, but what exactly constitutes doomsday then?
What is
Like
doomsday? I think
nuclear war? Is that what it is ultimately?
definitely that conflict, that style of a
Yeah,
threat for sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like any type of like World War III scale conflict.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the chat now, but we're all getting
It's your
shit
job.
talked by the two fucking Americans.
Are we?
They're just taking their turns. So Bending Ballistics has called me a sloppy second from whatever Rooster said. Yuka Kazi says, Rob, how many pairs of fishnets do you wear, like in general?
Jeez.
Hey, you can't be too prepared, right?
Boys, hard night, rough.
Yeah, no kidding, hey? And Jens thinks I'm going to open a primer plant. Yeah, that'll happen. I know all about how to do that stuff.
No.
So yeah,
you provide the building. I'm willing to learn how to play with the
components-
explosives.
Components
No.
versus availability of components versus factory ammo. Definitely a consideration when you look at that discussion.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that factory ammo is going to come back and be more available before we start seeing reloading? Well, primers really coming back?
If we're seeing things like more availability of factory ammo, probably I'd have to say sure. Yeah.
Well,
It
consider
varies,
that
depends on which ammo again, too, right?
for
Yes.
sure. But
That's
consider
fun.
the component manufacturers' primary customers, their biggest customers, right, have got to be the factory ammunition producers.
Yes.
So we're always going to be sucking the hind tit in that respect.
And I guess the vast majority of factory ammo you're going to see is going to satisfy the plinker, the hunter, like
I
that
think so.
type of crowd, right? So when you look at what's available for a precision aspect, I think we're still going to be in the weeds, right? Like 300
Yeah.
PRC, your 6 mil Creedmoor, right? 6
Mhm.
arc, right? 6 GT. I mean, that just recently became available factory, but my goodness, are we even going to see imagine coming out with a box of 6 GT factory? Holy crap, you'd be somebody, I think, right now.
I think so. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't. I'm surprised Hornady hasn't come out with it because isn't that where the GT came from? Was
That's who's
George Gardner and
yeah, and that's who's
Yeah.
producing the factory 6 GT is Hornady.
Oh, they are. Sorry, I
Yeah.
misunderstood. I thought you said they weren't.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's
Problem
such
with all
low
the
volume.
small run stuff is when you're, they're set up to run 223, 308, 9 mil all the time. But
Yeah,
anything they have to set up to a small batch of,
Right.
why? Right now, that's not a priority. They can just keep pumping it out. And that's the other problem with, your hunting loads might come back, stuff like that. But we're a long ways from seeing cheap 223, cheap 9 mil for competition guys practicing, going through bulk rounds. Because until the supply is there, nothing cheap's getting made or getting marketed as cheap, at least anyway. There's going to be no surplus for a long time that makes prices drop.
Yes.
What are you guys seeing for bulk 223 or 556 ammo? Like it's damn near Like it's around that 70 to 80 cents a piece, isn't it?
I haven't been looking
I
at
was
that market, like the 5.56 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty stocked up for 9 mil, but I haven't been out shooting it, so I
Mm.
haven't really looked at what that market is sitting at right now, to be honest.
I've seen some lots for sale, like Cabela's. They have their Wild Wednesdays or whatever, and there was a 1,000 round pack of 9 mil for I think it ended up at 50 cents a piece, but it was normally 65 cents a piece.
Right.
So and 50 cents a piece 2 years ago was absolutely unheard of.
Yeah, it was 20 to 23 cents.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So Spudman says 223 is around $1 a piece in his area.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
I've seen it higher than that. In fact, like
Yeah.
so, a lot of the 180 reviews that I've been doing, the accuracy portion, I went out and I bought a series of ammo, everything from like Seiko Game Heads to Sierra Match Kings, and this was when I did the Gen 2. That was what, about 5-6 months ago now, maybe even more than that. And I was buying Sierra Match Kings in 223 for over $2 a round.
Isn't that something? God.
It was a box of 20 rounds, and it was $47.99.
That's crazy.
I'm living in the past all the time, and I look at the price of brass, and I go, "Oh my god, I'll go buy loaded ammo." And then I go look at the loaded ammo. Yeah, I want to buy brass.
Right.
I have to live in a world where loaded ammo for anything should be $1 a piece, and now it's $1 a piece for brass. Not even good brass at $1 a piece.
Yeah. Crazy.
I think Dave is implying something here when he says, "I hear China has a plan to help ramp up ammo production."
Yeah. It started with some balloons, right?
Yeah, read between the lines on that comment.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverines. That wasn't the Chinese, though. They changed that. That was the North Koreans.
Yeah. I keep looking for parachutes either way every day. So.
Yeah. Whatever. Does anybody know that whole parachute fiasco? Because there was all kinds of bullshit rumors about. There was another Chinese balloon over in South America. There was some horse shit for a while about there was one that was confirmed like a couple of hours east of Saskatoon in Saskatchewan because the Chinese want to surveil us of everyone else in Canada. Like, was any of that substantiated? Obviously, the one in Saskatchewan was bullshit.
Yeah.
But what about the one in South America?
Haven't heard. I heard there was one shot down over Alaska here recently too.
Was there really?
Yeah.
Man, those guys are losing a lot of civilian weather balloons.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how much people are paying attention to that. Like, honest to God, with the satellites that are up there, with the equipment on them, does anybody truly believe that they're gathering information from a fucking balloon instead of these high-tech
They gathered
satellites?
a lot of information. They figured out how far they could push Biden. That's what they're gathering.
That's exactly what I thought about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
not
know
about
what the
the
balloon picked up for info is that important, but the fact that it made it more than 1 mile into U.S. airspace,
right,
and all the way through Canada. What the fuck?
Yeah. Like it should have been blown up over the Aleutian Islands.
Yeah. There's more. There's more than one stream of surveillance that you're trying to find out for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's a know thy enemy situation.
Right.
Okay. I just we need to nip something in the bud here. This talking shit may have gone too far. Yukai Kazi says best snipers in the world, but the average Canuck is just no.
Oh my.
He's referring to the Vancouver Canucks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, Yuke. You're off the fucking Christmas card list. That's it.
And you were totally
no chocolate bunnies for Easter. Nothing.
Wait a minute. We have a chocolate bunny Easter list?
We have a whole program. You're not aware?
Wow. I guess I gotta talk to the HR department more often.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, let's hear your take on factory versus hand loaded.
Yeah, factory versus hand loaded. We were just talking today about some interesting conversations on the good old interwebs. And I always like to preface what I have to say by saying that you will hand loads done properly in a proper manner will always give you the best results. So if you're out there hand loading and you know what you're doing and you've got the time to do it properly and you're doing it because you want the absolute best ammo, then you're doing it for the right reasons.
Okay, so there's
right?
that
Yeah,
perspective in your position on it, I
yeah,
guess. So
and,
we
and I
can
would,
take that out of the argument, I think,
yeah.
effectively.
So like, it's not that I'm against hand loading by any stretch of the imagination. Don't get me wrong, right?
Right.
But I'm a factory guy right now because for one, I don't have enough knowledge to reload. I don't have the equipment to reload, nor do I have the time in my life that I want to do that, right? So I shoot
Right.
factory.
Right.
And I've been shooting long range precision for about 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I was smart enough to get a good rifle. I took courses and, you know, surrounded myself with phenomenal people. So I still believe I'm a student and I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
And to throw in what could be such an unknown, like a crappy hand load, when you're trying to learn, is to me just makes no sense, none whatsoever.
Right.
Right. Your
Yeah.
factory loads today that you can get a hold of are so good that, to be quite honest, let's say you got a rifle and you're hand loading and you've run into an issue, the number one thing you should do is go back to a factory round, right? Eliminate that one variable. So that's where I'm at. When you're starting out, and usually the first place people go to is the internet, right? Why not? And I would never discourage people from doing that. But it is such a cesspool of misinformation.
Yes. 100%.
That, and I feel like a lot more misinformation is in that reloading world, because I feel it's a bit more mysterious to some.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could just become so discouraged if you're a new guy, right? You're already kind of, I find it a little foreign to believe now, like some people actually still look at 500 meters as a long way to shoot.
Mm.
And if you're trying to learn that and learn a system and learn new language and how to use an optic and position and body, now you want to throw in hand loading.
Well, see, there's
no.
Logically, you're right. Logically,
Yeah.
I think there is a progression. I'm not going to say a proper progression, because to say you should do these things in this order isn't right for everybody. And admittedly, I did it sort of backwards.
Right.
Ever since I was a kid, I was interested in for lack of a better way to put it, precision riflery. Like I wanted to hit exactly what I was aiming at every single damn time, ever since I was small. And I think being a machinist way back then, not when I was a kid, but soon thereafter, the technical aspect, the minutia part of machining got me really interested in hand loading and what could be done there.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, all I had was hunting rifles.
Right.
But I was still able to make them shoot really, really well. And then, of course, it progressed. But I think, Rob, what you're saying is there's a lot of people that want to get into the long range precision rifle game and start from nothing. And let's face it, right now, it is more accessible to anyone than it ever has been. So
is.
I think I can get behind what you're saying is concentrate on all your fundamentals of shooting
Yeah.
and the essential equipment, um, and building that knowledge to get out to that 500 yards meters
Yeah.
effectively anytime you want, and then start reaching beyond. Once you reach a certain point, then it almost requires hand loading to a certain degree. And then once you get into uncommon calibers,
Yeah.
it's almost a must have.
A
But
hundred
that
percent.
that I think if you want to become a proficient rifleman, um, I think the place to invest is um, the equipment that uh, that you need on a day to day. The
Yeah.
additional investment in the equipment to make your ammunition, when you can already buy ammunition
Yeah.
to make that other equipment accurate, is already there. So, and there's always a question too, your volume, your shooting volume versus
Hmm.
the investment in equipment, and of course components. You've really got to weigh those things out too, right?
And I see it's so with the wide availability of what we have today at a decent price for precision rifles, optics.
Yes.
Um, it if you jump into it, like with a new rifle, a new optic, you're just learning the skills,
Hmm.
and you throw in the fact that you are also reloading right away. I've seen it where people seem to have a mentality of they're going to buy themselves precision,
Oh yes,
right? And then
they want to skip steps.
and then when you start having issues connecting or making consecutive hits or with your accuracy and your precision,
Yep.
they tend then want to buy their way out of that,
Mhm.
and they look at the hand loading as that bank, right?
Yes,
And
I
yeah,
believe
and I've
that's
seen
correct
that
for sure.
I've seen that where guys will, again, they'll just start some scratch and they'll just be on this well
Hmm.
of I'm going to buy my way out of this with my bullet. I'm going to
Right.
reload my way out of it, and instead of understanding that it was a you issue,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't invest in yourself. You didn't invest in probably some of the fundamentals,
Hmm.
and you're just wasting time and money
Right. Yeah.
I
and
have
probably
definitely
getting
seen guys
frustrated.
who do the I'm going to learn how to reload and I'm going to make .1 MOA accurate ammo, and they spend all their time making ammo and none of their
Right.
time shooting, especially off anything besides a sandbag.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then they still don't hit stuff, can't shoot from field positions, whatnot. I
Right.
mean, I think hand loading is important, but you've got to learn how to shoot.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
you don't need a rifle that shoots .1 to do that.
No.
You sure don't. I've heard the old school F class guys like well, sorry, it's not called F class, but it's 308s out to 1,000 with the iron sights, like the peep sights. I can't remember exactly what they call that.
Palma? Is that Palma?
Oh,
Palma, that's right. That's right.
yeah.
Um, I had a guy tell me long time ago when I was learning all this shit, well, all you need is a 1 MOA gun.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it's 1,000 yards and you've got open sights and what? How is that possible? And
Yep.
it especially messes with a guy's mind now. I think that you get uh, uh, analytics like what Litz is doing
Mm,
with applied ballistics, your hit
right.
probabilities and stuff like that. I think that is amazing information, but I think that some people dig into that material and they look at stuff like hit probability and your weapon effective zone and all that kind of stuff, and it screws with a guy's mind because they think now I've got to shoot the .1 in
Yeah.
order to uh, be effective that far down range. And yes, there is some truth in that, but there's a point of diminishing returns, especially for a person who lacks the skill to the personal mechanical skills before he even touches the rifle to
Right.
make that thing go where it needs to go every single time.
And there's that uncalculable component of experience.
Yes.
Putting rounds down range. The guy who's put a lot of rounds down range, he can, he may not even do the math. He may not think about it, but when that breeze touches his face, so he holds 3 inches farther left to make the hit.
Right.
And his 1 MOA rifle will do that over the guy with a half MOA because he knows how to shoot it. He knows how field conditions work.
Absolutely.
At our range, prior to say 6-7 years ago, before the long range stuff really took off and the nice dial optic stuff like that became more commonplace, our targets past 500 yards were the domain of iron-sighted rifles.
Sure.
Right.
They were almost all shot with iron-sighted rifles because we all had military surplus rifles with sights graduated 2,000 yards.
Sure.
The holdover on a hunting rifle gets too extreme when you get past 500 yards to make consistent hits. But you could dial a 7 Mauser up and smoke an 1,100 yard target all day long with iron sights.
Right.
It's 18 inches wide and 5 feet tall, but it's there and it's hittable.
Yep.
With a variety of iron-sighted rifles.
Yeah,
until guys started showing up with the stuff and could start hitting 6-inch targets at that distance. Okay, now we're past what iron sights can do because I can't see a 6-inch target over iron sights at 1,000 yards.
Right. Yeah.
I remember. I think we were shooting it out there when Doug and Neezer were at the range.
Okay.
And Doug was spotting for me, and he didn't realize I switched rifles to my Mauser, and he's giving me calls in mills. I'm like, that doesn't help me. How many feet left or right? And finally, he looks over at me and he just realizes I'm shooting iron sights. He just shakes his friggin' head and carries on spotting. But like mills aren't real helpful right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where Rob comes from, and I do get a chuckle when I hear people just. They refuse to give any credit to factory ammo or the process that you're suggesting about using factory ammo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are reloading is life, and there's nothing that you could do to even be competitive or serious if you're not reloading.
Well, there's certainly some tribalism, I think, involved in stuff like that. Hey, it's the same with I have a fully custom rifle and you only shoot at factory. That sort of same idea.
Let's go back to price for just a quick second again.
Sure.
So if you're buying factory ammunition versus reloading, it seems like your upfront cost, this seems to be the conventional wisdom anyway, that your upfront cost is exaggerated with reloading, but over time your cost is less. Is that still the case?
I think there was a time when reloading was significantly cheaper. I think right now, it's almost a wash.
No, and I did the math on it just like about 3 months ago. I was asking me, so I took 6.5 Creedmoor.
Sure.
I worked it out even at $100 a pound for powder, $100 $1,000 for primers, or something, give or take. That might not be realistic these days, but I think that's coming back 100, 120, whatever. And it still worked out to damn near 50% of factory ammo.
Okay.
Are you factoring the cost of the equipment though to load your own?
No, I'm talking just the ammo.
Right.
But when you start saving, as ammo gets more expensive, liquid gets more expensive too. But if you're saving $1 a round, it doesn't take long to pay for $1,000 worth of equipment.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I paid for
again depending on your volume.
Yeah, I paid for all the reload equipment I bought the first year I bought it in the first year, a couple of times over, just in 44 Magnum alone.
That's a lot of shooting.
I can see that for sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many thousand rounds of 44 Mag I shot that summer, and 44 Mag factory's not cheap.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But
you bet.
The equipment, it's more upfront cost, but it holds value to a degree. Mm-hmm. It's not you're not throwing away money when you buy reloading equipment exactly. And it definitely does save money in the long run, which lets you shoot more. And that's the way I look at it. I'm a big proponent of sending lead down range. You can do all the math, you can do all the all the finicky reloading. Like I said, I'm not a finicky reloader. I'm not a bench rest kind of guy. I load for volume. As you can tell by the big blues behind me, I want rounds down range. That's how I learned to shoot better.
That's an interesting. This is an interesting debatable take from Kris W. If you account for your time and load development, reloads are more expensive, but you gain consistency. Yeah, for sure. Now, there's always this argument if you account for your time. So are you paying yourself for when you go and replace the eaves troughs on your house? Are you paying yourself for when you go to mow your lawn so you don't look like the fucking hillbilly down the street?
I think what that means, and I've always thought about that statement a lot, because I'm the guy that does pretty much everything for myself. Fix my car, fix my house.
Right.
I build my own stuff. That's the guy I am. I just believe in doing that. But to the point where I don't do my own oil changes anymore. Right. And it's like, well, what's your time worth? And I think people get caught in the minutia of trying to put a dollar value on your time.
Yeah.
When I think you should say to yourself, well, when you ask what your time is worth, is like, if I am spending that time in front of the bench, pulling the lever or whatever,
right,
and then as suggested, going out and doing the proper development steps, what could I have done in that time instead that would be deemed valuable to myself? Would that have been family time? Would that have been maybe more time at work to get some more money? Would that have been more time just strictly actually shooting? Doing ammo drills, like volume of ammo downrange is as important as quality ammo downrange, like doing very specific good drills, right? Like, so do you have to go and blow 100 rounds to have a good training day?
Not at all.
You know what I mean? So I think the statement of your time, I think, is a valuable statement, but I think it needs to be, make sure you're looking at it the right way.
It's subjective enough that it's not right across the board by any means.
If the alternative is to sit at the house and watch TV, your time's not worth anything, so go reload.
So that's where
if you
I
don't
would
have
go
that
next.
time, now your time's worth something.
How many people are reloading because they can be in their garage or in their basement hiding from their family?
See, I'm a. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I think reloading is just a subsect of the precision world, and I think it's definitely an addition of enjoyment to the sport. You know what I'm saying? I can totally see that 100%. So I again, if you're going to tell me that I'm reload because I love getting down there and doing it, I'm with you. I'm not going to call you any names for that. I think that's valuable time then.
No,
I don't love it at all.
See, I'm a bit of an odd duck there, I think, because I really enjoy my time in this room, and I enjoy the minutia of getting a case just right, and every one of them consistent, and that I don't know, call it OCD if you like.
Says the introverted hermit who hates people.
Now, listen, that's a bit of a strong statement,
but an accurate one. Here's an interesting question from Heineck. The YouTube channel Backfire did a cost analysis on reloading that actually takes paying yourself into account. Did you guys ever see that?
No, I haven't.
And we ran into what's his face from Backfire at Shot. Remember that?
Say that again, Kris. Sorry,
I forget his name, but we ran into him at Shot. Why can't I remember his name? Anyway, I remember watching his series. He did do a series, and he did put I forget what the value was that he put on it, but he put a value on paying yourself into account, and he found his analysis. Now, again, this is in the US, this isn't American pricing. This isn't Canadian pricing, it's American pricing. But his analysis was that it was still less expensive when you take paying yourself into account.
So how much do you value paying yourself. Like I'm the guy that I enjoy spending time in this room. So I don't know how valid an argument it is, but if I go and sit on the couch and waste my fucking time watching some stupid TV show that I'm not really even interested in, and I'm just like atrophying,
Yeah.
I have zero sense of accomplishment, zero sense of purpose in those moments. So would I rather sit there and do that, or come down and be somewhat productive? How much value I put on that? Well, in a sense, I put a lot of value on that because I am productive and I'm actually doing something. And the next time I get a chance to pick up and go shoot, it's there and done. I don't have to, it's like how much value do I put on the time it takes to make my way to the gun store to see the ammunition that they don't fucking have and pay for it and bring it back home and then try and plan a range trip. I mean, that's a factor as well.
Mhm.
So there's good arguments, all
Absolutely.
sorts of different ways.
To
Absolutely.
take things a little different direction too. The other argument is like we're talking about long range shooting, and you're talking about 6.5 Creedmoor 308. That's great. If you're shooting those calibers, you can find today, 5 years ago, even I don't know if that was the case, but today you can find the same Hornady loads time and time again at your store, typically speaking, for 6.5 Creedmoor or for 308 or Lapua rounds or.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, that wasn't an option. You went to the hardware store, at least out here, you bought 308 today and they had Federal. You went back in 2 months and bought ammo and they had Remington.
Gotcha.
And there was no consistency. If you wanted to be able to make the same ammo again and again and again, you had to reload. Because generally speaking, you could find the same powder, the same bullets, whatnot, but the factory loads were changing all the time, or at least what was available where you were.
Yeah, that's right.
That has changed. The ability to take factory ammo and be able to get repeatability out of factory ammo has gone through the roof in the last 5 years for certain calibers.
And I would
So if you're going to shoot anything besides those handful of calibers that are typically available in target ammunition, you have to hand load if you want consistency.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Just
that
to get
is
same
exactly. So when I'm looking at changing from 308 to a different caliber for PRS, that's exactly why I stepped up to the six Creedmoor. When I look at my decision on what I was going to move to was based 100% on availability of good precision ammo, and I was like, hey, and again I reached out to people like Shane at EM Precision. Shane, right? What am I going to go? I knew I wanted something 6 mil,
right?
And and he was like, yep, 6 Creedmoor, go with that one for sure.
And the other thing is, if you're a guy who shoots 1 or 2 rifles, and that's what you shoot in a year, typically speaking, you can go and buy a case or 2 of ammo for that.
Sure.
But with a hand loader, I stock up on powder and primers, and this year I'm shooting 6.5-06, and next year I'm shooting 7 mil Maus or whatever. A lot of those stuff will cross. I don't have to buy thousands of rounds of that specific ammo. I might need the bullets, but and even today, bullet selections, it's been a little rough with some of the Hornady stuff, but it's still not horrible to get bullets for a lot of stuff. Primers are unavailable, but bullets are available for the most part. Most of the powders have been available or becoming available again. And you've got some selection there that makes it a lot easier. And I mean, the flip side of that is, like you talked about availability too. I'm looking at when Jens was talking about my secondhand rifles I've been purchasing. Good point, Jens. But I don't think, like, I'm going to load cast bullets for my 500 416 and my 500 Nitro Express.
Right.
But I don't think I'm ever going to load jacketed bullets, because I'm going to find factory ammo here that I can buy in Africa. Because when you fly in a plane, you're allowed so many pounds of ammo.
Yeah.
Pounds of ammo at 570 grains a bullet doesn't take very many bullets.
No.
So I'm going to find factory, and it's probably all more available there than it is here.
Right.
So if I can, if I could take one of those rifles over there, I'll find factory ammo here that matches what's available over there. I'll shoot it, sight it in with factory ammo, phone some guys in Africa, say, have 3 box ammo sitting for me when I get there.
Right. Yeah.
So there is the flip side of sometimes it makes more sense to have factory ammo, even with all the equipment I have. And I'm going to load cast bullets and go shoot Gophers, because I'm not shooting $10 ammo at Gophers all the time.
All the time, right? I was just gonna call you a liar there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some mean, big, ugly gophers in Alberta, friends.
Yeah.
Got to be prepared.
Bobby,
Fat.
yeah, Bobby Pew Pew had an interesting point here, much of which I agree with. I think he says, "I love precision tools and very expensive doodads. I have all the fancy toys in my loading room, which makes me want to load just to go play with them." I mean, there is that. I mean, there's
So
lots of guys that love to go play with their boats or
yep.
pinstripe their fucking cars and put spinners on them and spoilers and whatever useless shit, right?
They'll play with their
So
dolls.
Everybody's got their
being a millwright, I can relate to that so well.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Let's see your
I
Snap-on collection.
Yeah, I just relate to that so well. And I get it. Like I said, I'm definitely not here to convince somebody to quit reloading or to not reload and have a hate on for reloading. I'm just
Yeah.
Again, going back to some of our early discussions, when I first started getting into this, I was appalled at the misinformation, and it's so discouraging at first.
Yeah.
Like, why do I want to get into this if this is the nightmare I'm looking forward to be any good, only to find out that
hand loading is full of not just misinformation but old wives' tales.
Yeah, and only to find out that it is easy to be good without frustration. It really is.
Honestly, we're living in the golden age of factory ammo. Even despite our current shortages, we're probably living in the golden age of factory ammo. It's never been as good, or as, the availability is not quite what it was 3 years ago, but on the grand scheme of timeline, we're living the golden age of factory ammo.
As much of a devout proponent of hand loading that I am, I 100% agree with that, Oscar. There's been no better time.
So don't want to segue us
Stop teasing
too
me
far.
with MK7s. I want one so badly.
We saw one at Shot.
Yes, we did.
I don't want to segue too long or too far, but you were talking about old wives' tales, so I want to ask you guys this. So when I'm doing these 180 videos, I do these accuracy videos, and all I'm doing is just shooting 3-shot groups at 100 meters with various different types of ammo. And to my mind, the purpose is just to show people, okay, if you're going to put this ammo in this gun and you're going to shoot a 3-round group, you can expect something like this. Or I'm not trying to do I'm not even shooting it out of a lead sled, put it that way. It's a very generalized video. I had some keyboard warrior just the other day make a comment on one of my accuracy videos talking about how this is the worst accuracy video he's ever seen, that I didn't even clean the barrel and refoul it before changing ammunition brands and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Let's set that record straight. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, so
it doesn't matter. A 3-shot group is statistically irrelevant, so you're not doing anything anyway.
Excellent point.
I'm gonna pick up on what Oscar has already said about the golden age of factory ammo. We're at the golden age of factory rifles.
Sure we are.
Right?
100%.
And so going back onto my millwright background and that thinking of things in a mechanical sense.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I heard was the wives' tale was, and when I got my first gorgeous, Ian Precision built custom rifle, people, you got to break in that barrel. And I'm like, break in a barrel? What are you talking about?
Right.
And I was legitimately curious, right? I'm like, okay, shoot, hit me up with this.
Yep.
And this whole process of shooting and wiping, and then I'm like, that just, no, it does not work in my head, right?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. But I did it with my first barrel, and it shoots well to this day. It's got over 1,000 rounds to that barrel. I haven't cleaned it since, right? So then and it's still
okay. Topic for another day.
And then I have another 308 with an IBI barrel, and I did not do any break-in on that one. I just went out and shot the wheels out of it, it shoots as good as the other barrel that I broke in. Broke in. So that is a wives' tale that I just say to people, like, again, if the therapy of reloading is something that you look forward to, and a therapy of a barrel break-in is something to look forward to, then do it, because you are not wrecking anything.
No, that's right. And there's so many of those wives' tales
Yeah,
that originated back when manufacturing practices aren't what they are now.
exactly.
The control of even powder.
Yes.
We've all heard that. Oh, when you get a new lot of Varget, you gotta mix it with your old, or rework up your load, all that kind of stuff, so that everything's the same,
Wow.
because it's well known that Varget is differs so much from lot to lot, and guys will even put a number on it, like it differs by 0.6 of a grain,
Wow.
shit like that. And you know what? I think that may have been true to some degree, um, taken with a grain of salt, one way
Yeah.
or the other. Back in the day when we didn't have the selection of powders that we had, maybe there were some variances in
What do you want to bet that guys they developed their load, they cronied it, then they shot 10 or 3,000 rounds, then they got
yes.
a new plot of powder, they cronied the rifle, and hey, it's not shooting the same speeds. They blame their powder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know what, the barrel break in, I'm convinced, and I don't care if somebody can counter me on this, whatever, but um, back a long time ago when manufacturing practices weren't as good as they are now,
No.
they tended to have rougher barrel bores, right?
Yeah.
Where barrel break-in probably benefited those shooters to some degree. Now, with the hand lapping and the tight tolerances and everything else that barrels are manufactured to now, I think it largely, if not completely, removes that factor altogether.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, but
Yep.
those things stick around with
They
us.
stick around. And I'll give
Yeah.
you, just to give you another, just as an example of a wives' tale that fits exactly into your analogy, Kurt, and that's batteries on concrete floors,
Oh,
car batteries,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
How many guys will tell you, don't ever stick a car battery in a concrete floor?
Oh,
And I'm like,
yes.
are you back in
Mhm.
1920 when they're made out of rubber cases? Because that's where that was for, but not
That's
anymore.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting
Batteries,
as hell. Every time I set a battery on a concrete floor, my dad follows along behind me and puts it on a board.
That's
right?
right. Yes.
Right? But it's something that is not required. It had a place, one time.
It
It
sure
was a
did.
legit reason,
That's
but
right.
it's not anymore. It's
Yep.
stuck around, and people will
Yep.
just be rabid about it. They will lose their mind if they see you doing it. And you're like, wow, yeah, okay.
I got a
So
couple of
Just
that
for
mechanic buddies
is,
who are rabid the other way. If they see you put it on board, they'll come slap you.
yeah,
right.
right.
Just for bending ballistics out there. Uh I'm drinking some Jocko Go.
Hey, where did you
That's
get
it.
Jocko Go, motherfucker?
But left over from you handed it to me, and I said, "Oh, please, I couldn't." Okay.
You're just drinking that now?
I am. Well, I unpacked all my stuff from SHOT Show uh, the day before I left to go back up to work, and it just sat here, and well, a couple of weeks away at work, and now I'm back here, and it was just here handy for me tonight. How convenient.
How convenient.
I drank the shit out of that stuff in Florida.
I bet. I bet. So,
Yeah,
going back to factory ammunition.
sure.
So, a lot of the argument that the hand loaders make is that you can't tune your seating bullet depth, or at least not easily, without pulling the bullet or whatever, to your particular rifle. But consider now, like let's take VLDs for instance. When they first came out, everybody said you had to jam a VLD in order to get it to shoot. They won't shoot any other way. Now you look at the data that's coming out, and VLDs will absolutely shoot with sometimes a very large jump.
So you're
So,
talking about the jump to land, right?
sorry, yes, yeah, it's
Yeah,
all right in my head. I don't often get
yeah.
it out here
So
as well.
again, I don't reload, but I do follow it, and I do
Hmm.
try to be somewhat conversational in it. And what's that F-class shooter that's really good? Cortana,
Eric Cortina, yeah,
Eric Cortino.
you
He
bet.
did an excellent video on lands and the jump to lands, because he
Yeah.
absolutely says, again, if you're wasting time,
Mhm.
if you're chasing the lands and the jump, stop. and he does an
Right.
excellent video. And when I watched the video, it
Right.
made sense to my mechanical mind. I'm like,
Sure.
that makes sense.
Right.
So that is definitely, now when you apply that to factory ammo, I would definitely say that the seating depth of a bullet is probably going to have a bigger deviation than a hand load. 100%. How could it not? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
But is the change in the jump to land is what going to cause you the grief? I don't think so. Not to the effect that some are going to make it out to be.
I think oftentimes your immediate environmentals have a larger effect, especially at long range.
Yep. And your inability to properly take account for those, whether you don't have the years of experience to understand your environmentals, or you don't have a good computer with you, or you don't input your data properly.
Right.
Exactly.
If you've had too much coffee that morning, factors in. I can tell you.
Yep.
Can I pause you for just a quick second, Rooster?
Okay, just once.
How come we made it an entire hour into the show before you told me that the fucking audio was coming out of my webcam instead of out of my microphone?
I just felt, given your level of contribution to this particular show, it wasn't really important.
You son of a bitch. Okay, carry on. Keep going.
This is what you get in a friendship with me. Yeah.
You have to admit though, I sound much better now.
You do very much.
Now, when I'm not contributing, you're going to hear it well.
But yes, I do. It's funny you should mention that one, Kurt, because that is actually something when I hear a person that talks about reloading, I do like to hear what their perception is on that jump to land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
I find that I'm like, okay, this guy is on his point, or he's stuck in a world of wives' tales.
Yeah, people so easily get stuck there. Scott Chitchell says, anyone hear any recent reviews on that accuracy first ammo? No, I am personally not aware. No. Well, there's accuracy first in Canada, right? I think this is what he's talking about. They're an organization, training organization, largely, I believe, and from all accounts that I'm aware of, great organization. I didn't know they were putting out ammunition. If I'm going off on the wrong track here, Scotty, let me know. But I think that's what he's talking about. I was unaware they were delving into that game.
I think Frank would have at least mentioned that somewhere.
Yeah, you would think so. Yenzi coming up with another doozy here.
Oh yeah.
Can you be more vague about futuristic? we have too many details in that comment, Scott.
Well, it's those polymer case deals, I guess.
It's polymer. Okay.
I've seen a bit about it before, but not enough to comment intelligently on it. So it's an interesting concept.
So comment unintelligently on it.
I'm trying to. If you shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry. I should switch my microphone back over.
I don't know. It's I guess going back to almost disposable components. I mean, all they have to do is hold pressure for a very short amount of time to get that bullet out the barrel. Now, what it does to accuracy, or does for accuracy or consistency or anything like that, I have no idea, because the first thing that comes to my mind is internal ballistics, like case volume and stuff like that. Are they able to manufacture those polymer cases to the same accuracy tolerances that they can with brass cases? I have no idea. It's an interesting concept. True velocity ammunition. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard
definitely
about
an interesting concept, but I imagine the polymer cases are easier to manufacture than brass cases. So volume wise, I think it's probably a smartish idea.
Now, going back to my armored background, the Leo 2s and Abrams use a caseless ammo.
I've
And
always been curious how that
and
actually works.
there's no, when you're using a Sabo round, that's their, their accuracy round. There's no lack of accuracy using that caseless ammo. I can tell you that. Yep.
That's interesting. It's a breech loaded muzzle loader.
No, it's if you look at it, it looks like a standard round.
Okay.
It's got a, has a case, whatnot, whatever you want to call it. But the casing, there's that bullet there. But the case of the tank round is made of it's part of the propellant. It burns up and contributes to the propellant.
I see.
The case itself
tank, right?
does.
Yeah. So it has a small base where the primer's in, and that gets ejected. It's like a size of an ashtray. But
okay.
That's
your gas seal.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
But it is the caseless ammo. It gets burnt up and becomes part of the propellant for the tanks.
So that
is really interesting.
If Americans are interested in it, the True Velocity ammo is apparently available with Winchester AccuBonds.
I'm interested to hear the marketing on it, the benefits or whatever. For the most discerning long-range shooters, True Velocity's composite cased cartridges offer a distinct advantage over match-grade brass. I'd like to hear that argument.
Well, maybe we should learn more.
Learn more. All right. Let me get my spectacles on.
It just repeats the same thing. Well, okay, but it's because of extreme concentricity and precise powder drop technology combined to produce a cartridge that is unsurpassed in accuracy. So I guess it's the concentricity and the powder drop technology, not the
adaptable neck tension.
Yeah, adaptable neck tension.
Sure, you throw some heat on that sucker and you can soften up that neck.
It'll adapt.
That's a hard sell for me, honestly.
You know what?
I'm the old guy that I can't be convinced of any other way of thinking.
We were just talking about like old information becoming wives' tale stuff. I would love to give that a try.
100%.
Looks really hard to find grass in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
Disclaimer down at the bottom of the website page is not for Canadian use, not recommended for Canadian use.
Well, I'm not Canadian winters anyway.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I might buy some if they came in blaze orange. I love orange.
Speaking of, so this True Velocity mentioned concentricity. Spudman made a comment a long time ago, and for some reason I missed it. Talking about concentricity. What can you guys say about concentricity?
Would that go towards fire forming brass there, Kurt?
Well, no, I think it's concentricity of a loaded round is probably what he's saying. Now, I have seen a few studies on it, and it used to be, thinking back about my early hand loading days, reading everything I could get my hands on from the bench rest guys and things like that, concentricity was paramount, even more so in some ways than powder charge. Because if you didn't have that bullet started out right in the first place, it wasn't going to get any better.
Okay, but so for an idiot like me, define concentricity.
Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not snappy. Never mind. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. What's he?
Is your bullet in line with the case or not?
Yep. Right.
That's it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
So there have been some studies done in recent years where they have found that eccentricity, meaning not concentric ammo, by about 7 thousandths of an inch. Yeah. So cocked off.
Yeah.
Let's say. Really didn't matter in a quality rifle. Oh. So and you think about the way a chamber is designed and cut, that there's essentially a forcing cone, right? The lead of your throat into your rifling.
Essentially, okay.
it plays a big role in getting that bullet lined up to where it needs to go. Now, part of this whole concentricity thing comes from the old cast bullet shooters, where like the black powder cartridge rifle guys notice a big difference when they have eccentric ammunition, where the bullets kind of cocked off a little bit, because those, when you ram that soft lead into your rifling, it will impress that groove in a kind of a sideways manner.
Unevenly. Okay.
and
Unevenly.
deform the bullet itself.
Right.
Right.
So again, it I think it originates back with poorer quality bullets, or different types of bullets. We can say. I don't think it's as much of a factor, but of course there is a point where yes, it absolutely matters for sure. Lyndon Shriko, any PRS masters at the Rooster Ranch this year? Learned a lot shooting with you last fall. Thanks.
Gee,
yes.
shucks.
Say that again, Rob.
No, you're going to answer his question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no hard dates just yet, but CRPS events are going to be held this summer at the Twisted Rooster Rifle Ranch, and maybe some local PRS stuff. I don't know how much we're like the center fire stuff. I think Jens and I are kind of concentrating on the ELR stuff more so this year than the PRS stuff. Traveling out to Alberta and that to partake in those events. So I think we'll be hanging around home more, but we're not going to leave the PRS game completely. I think we'll get a bunch of guys together locally around here and just have some fun matches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kris had a good comment about factory ammo being markedly better than the vast majority of shooters. And so that kind of speaks back to what I was saying about, you got to learn how to shoot.
Sure as hell.
If you
damn it,
if you can't shoot with any degree of performance, why do you think you're gonna reload your way out of that?
Yeah, not likely.
I was kind of hoping I could.
Man, I have some of the most accurate ammunition around that you could hope for.
Yeah.
And if I have an off day, give me some blue box Federal. Shoots just as well.
Yeah.
That's what she said, Scotty.
Yep.
That's the first "that's what she said" joke all episode. A little disappointed in you guys, right?
I haven't been contributing as much as I normally do.
No, you haven't. No.
Yeah. This is the Kris gets educated and shuts up for part of the show episode.
Folks, you're witnessing a rare episode.
The learning Kris, the reticulated learning Kris in its natural habitat.
Scott, I've looked into 22 long rifle reloading. And no, I'm not getting any farther on that. I don't keep up with the rest of my friggin' reloading, so I'm not going to take that up too. I don't know lately, but I know you could buy primed cases for doing that.
Yeah, what the hell is the name of that company we stopped at, Kurt, that's doing those stupid looking 22 rounds?
Oh,
they're making 22 long rifle bullets that look like they belong in a 223.
Cutting edge.
Oh, cutting edge bullets. That's right.
Yeah.
So they're selling dies, they're selling bullets, and they're selling brass.
Are they selling brass?
Yeah, they said they were selling prime brass.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Very.
That's been a thing for a long, like 20 years ago. You could buy primed 22 long rifle brass if you wanted to.
I had no idea. No kidding.
Yep, that's been around for a long time. But why?
So here's
now
a weird deviation. Do you think, with the extreme popularity and 22 long range shooting, do you think they'll get away? Do you think there'll be an advancement in bullet design?
No.
For rimfire, do you think, in the sense, do you think you'll get away from that snubby nose lead design bullet and go more towards a traditional, let's say, pointy center fire bullet?
If
But
Cutting
in
Edge
the
has anything to say about it, they will.
in
Right.
in a rimfire 22 long casing, do you think that's
So
something that we'll see?
I think at least in the near future, it's not going to be within the reach of what we know as the everyday shooter.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
My question is, how would you do that and still have the same cartridge length as
Mm.
current rounds?
Right.
Not to mention that your rate of twists, because your cartridge length scoring can change your rate of twists. Like it's going to be custom
Right.
rifles shooting that stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right. So a lot of what I'm seeing with the rimfire stuff is there are custom barrels made with a 12 twist, but there are some problems associated with that too, where it doesn't actually give you any appreciable gains past 300 yards or some damn thing. Um, so I think we've sort of peaked. Well, fuck, that's
There's
maybe
also a
not a
lot of
right
rimfire
statement.
game rules kind of rule out that kind of ammo too. Seems
Mm.
to me.
But
So
I
that
think
kind
this
of
would lend itself to a different game, and we all know that shooting games evolve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even within their particular disciplines. And
somebody's going to game it.
I could totally see somebody in the 22 long rifle, the rimfire ELR game,
Yeah.
going with those cutting edge bullets and really getting kind of fanatical about that. Totally see that. I don't think it's going to grow
That's
very
it.
well.
That's an interesting thought from Jens, using 22 mag actions and magazines.
Yenzi, you might be onto something there, buddy.
Because
Yeah.
then you use your typical 22 long rifle case, you have your elongated higher BC bullet, and that you have the overall length of a 22 Magnum.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
I want to
22
try
game,
that.
the 22 game, when we talked about the concentricity and how
Yeah.
bullets can get deformed by the ramp and stuff.
Yeah.
That is something that is one of the biggest detractors to performance for the 22 game, is how that bullet gets presented into the chamber on a 22
Mhm.
rifle.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
So is it the voodoo that really kind of presents it in a straight in, so the bullet doesn't ride up a ramp? Isn't that how that works for the voodoo?
I'm not sure. Yeah, they did
Yeah.
have some feeding issues for sure.
But that is, it's just, I look at that as like, okay, we talk about feeding a centerfire rifle up into the chamber. What factors does that cause? And I look at the 22 game and say, well, it's an exaggerated problem over there, but why would it not become a problem if you don't at least address it in the centerfire game?
Well, and taking that and going back to rimfire bullet design, um, how how much effect does a nick in your bullet have on that particular design and material going down a 22 long rifle barrel?
Mhm.
So um, I think that blunt, soft lead bullet. I think it really doesn't care
Right.
to a degree uh, how how that process happens before it gets spit out the barrel. And if you really had to worry about that, how much of a detractor would that be for people getting into that game or continuing
Yeah.
in that game? If I
Yeah.
got to watch out for these goddamn things, fuck me, what's the sense?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's some of the reason why they use the like the Ely, I think, has the wax on it and stuff like that.
Right. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So I
And
got
With
shit
that.
from Jens a little bit back. His 22 mag chamber uh, and actions and mags. What he said before, he says, "This is what the guy at Cutting Edge said. Focus, Rouse." He says,
Actually,
I
I thought he was
apologize."
giving me shit for that, but okay.
No, I think he was giving me shit because he and I were standing right there at Cutting Edge and talking to these people about their bullets and that. And I was too concerned focusing on the old guy that sat in the background while I was trying to get some information on the pretty young girl that I was talking to initially. And then he decided to jump in and deny everything that I was asking him. So I guess I missed that point.
I think it's more likely that Jens was having a side conversation with one of them and just expected that we know everything that he knows.
Right.
without realizing that we don't subscribe to ESPN.
I think that's possible. But there, there is no excuse.
No,
So-
of course not. Of course not.
So
He
I'm
probably said it in his sleep and we didn't hear it. It's our fault.
That's right. You know the game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should pay more attention.
Yes, this is true.
Going back a little bit, Scott said something about nobody was buying $2,800 rifle 22s before the voodoo stuff like that.
Yeah.
You ever watch biathlon guys and what they shoot?
Oh, yep.
$4,000 or $5,000 22s easy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that the high end 22 game's not new. It's just new if you didn't want to strap on skis.
So it's
Right.
their fault.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christ, I don't have a primary form of transportation worth that much.
I've got a high end Anschutz. It's not even a. It's a single shot, so it's not a biathlon rifle, and I picked it up really cheap for what it was. I think replacement cost on it's over $4,000, and yeah, it's got iron sights on it. And I've shot the best groups with it of any rimfire I own, or any 22 anyway.
No. Wow.
I can't shoot that good with my.
Yeah.
Like I've got Walthers and things like that besides with scopes, nice scopes on them, and I've shot better groups with that iron sighted one.
Yeah, this whole rimfire, the proliferation of rimfire accuracy games, let's say, you'd think it would change some people's minds back from hand loading is paramount to, okay, get out and shoot.
Matt,
Yeah.
that's an excellent segue into to that conversation.
I know. I
You're-
came up
Trying to
with
bring us back on topic. That's all.
you're,
Just trying to sell
you're
the
absolutely
show.
right. Yeah, there's a whole that rimfire game. I think has gone even larger than the centerfire game.
There's potential for sure. Yep.
And you are 100% stuck. You have no choice but to shoot factory,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So you.
But at
are-
the same time, it seems to be in lockstep with a burgeoning industry that's trying, or at least a company that's trying to start 22 reloading becoming mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good luck
Sure,
with that.
but you're still having some stuff taken away from you in a sense that you're buying a primered case,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Yep.
So when you look at reloading centerfire, you've got what is it, pocketed primers or non? You got to deburr the primer hole. There's different tubes. Like there's so much like how you just the primer game itself reloading. Kurt, like right?
Yep.
Am I right? Or am I
No,
like that is
Spot
such
on.
a huge part of it.
spot on. Yep. Agreed. 100%.
So if you take out that part, you're basically now focused on just the powder and possible bullet selection and seating depth and then
That's
the
all.
concentration on concentricity and all that other stuff that you
Right.
would normally do on reloading.
Yep.
So is that
Agreed.
where your edge is going to come from with a hand loaded 22, Mom? Maybe.
Well, I mean, like taking out the prospect of hand loading 22. I'm where my mind is going is that hand loading is taken out completely for that game. So people are seeing now the importance of buying quality ammo and going out to refine your skills as a rifleman. Okay,
Exactly.
a rifle person for those who
And
care.
not just throwing all their ammo in a bag of every different brand.
Right.
Right. The knowledge level that's come along with 22 long rifle.
Oh, Kris has a
greatly
question.
from-
Yeah.
No, I
Thanks,
was just
yeah.
admitting to throwing ammo of different types in a bag.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
should we go ahead, Rob? Finish your
No,
thought.
I'm just saying it, and that is a lot of people are starting their trek, and they're going to graduate into the center fire, but they're starting it on 22, so
yeah.
they're forced to work on the stuff that I've
100%.
talked about, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to work on myself as a rifleman. That's what I'm. Yeah.
Except recoil control.
Except recoil control. Yep.
So that's okay. I want to ask about that, but we're running out of time here. So first of all, David Walcott says, Kris and Rooster, new channel idea, BS off topic, friendly to all the ADD and ADHD people.
I
First
think
of all,
we're
how is
there.
that different than any
I
other
thought this was
episode?
the channel.
Yeah, it's like so
The
you just
exact same thing.
you literally, except for the title, you just described our current show. And secondly, speaking of ADD and ADHD, We have sponsors that support us. One of them is
Yes.
actually a guest of ours tonight, and we haven't thanked them or talked about them at all. So we should pause momentarily and do that. Do you want to start first?
You betcha. I got to
Oh,
scroll.
great! It's this guy.
All right. Well, of our several sponsors, we have Ribstone Gunsmithing, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, from stock refinishing and modifications to general repairs and rust bluing on rifles, shotguns, and pistols. Contact Oscar Long at ribstonegunsmithing.ca in Czar, Alberta. Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. And done within a couple of months, am I right? So far.
I still say that you have to start doing like gun restoral ASMR videos. Just send me the videos. I'll put them up on our YouTube channel if you don't want to have your own YouTube channel.
Stick a GoPro on the ceiling above my bench and start recording.
Exactly. I just set a microphone next to everything. Get the ASMR going.
People watch much more stupider stuff.
Yes, they
do.
Clang, fuck, clang.
Or whack fuck.
The whack fuck, yeah. Our show is also brought to you by EM Precision Rifles. Rob was talking about them earlier. EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta has the tools, the knowledge, and the support you need to achieve your goals of precision rifle mastery. As skilled craftsmen and proven solution providers, EM guarantees equipment performance second to none. Consult with Shane for the build of your dreams and allow Steve to handcraft your next precision tool for an experience you will not forget. Find these gentlemen on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
And we are also supported by the wonderful people over at Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And call sign 66. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca.
There it is.
Yep.
Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
And Apex Optics, and joining us late, just as I'm saying that, is Vanya. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4-32 rifle scope, Summit binoculars, one of 3 different models. Pre-order the Hunter 3-15 hunting rifle scope, or the Edge LPVO 1-10, and get on their mailing list for more exciting products coming soon.
Do not get on their mating list, people. Get on their
mailing list. Did I say mating list? Get on my mailing list.
I'm pretty sure they're happy with the size of their family at the moment.
I really thought I was going to slip that one through unnoticed.
It's not my business what people do behind closed doors, but I wouldn't recommend.
What if I said mateling?
Vanya says no, thank you.
No, thank you. Oh, I just got turned down by Vanya.
No mating for you.
No. Okay.
All right. Finally, we have. Let's get past this. March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Nisa at marchscopes.ca.
There's something we should have done at the beginning of the show, huh?
Better late than never, I suppose.
Yep. What was I going to ask you guys about? You guys had mentioned something, and I said I want to ask you about that.
Recoil management.
Recoil management. Okay, so how much do you have to actually practice to properly manage recoil? Or is that going to be different for every person? Like, is this
every single time, Chris?
Why?
Because if you want to remain on target for a follow-up shot, or to spot trace or your hit when you hit the dirt, you have to have at least adequate recoil management.
Okay. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about the ability to get on target after the shot, or are we talking about being used to the recoil so that you're not flinching and fucking up your own shot?
I think
yes.
Both.
Absolutely both, but one like the latter part of your question goes back more to shooting fundamentals, right?
Right.
Now, the first part of your question is uh, staying close to your target for your follow-up shot. So we all know that your rifle is going to jump off target a certain amount every time you pull that trigger, right? Round goes off, and you get recoil. And if you need, like for the PRS game or hunting, even, you know, you want to remain as close to that target again for that second shot, so you're not wandering all over the place searching for that target again. So the recoil, my argument has always been with rimfire stuff, you don't get that good practice for recoil management because it just isn't there. Your body position and hold, everything comes into play with center fire recoil management. You just don't get it.
And so you're saying that this has to be practiced every time.
You have to be conscious of it every shot.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. When you're shooting a center fire, you have to be conscious of it every shot. I see.
So
what
when
you're
you
saying.
build your position,
I thought you were saying that
to,
you have to practice it every time you're shooting.
You have to be at least conscious of it. When you build your position to fire that shot, you have to be aware that your position contributes to recoil management in such a way that you're going to get back on target as quickly as possible after that shot. That's my take on it anyway.
No, you're right. So there's mechanical things we can do to mitigate recoil, brakes, weight, strictly straight up weight.
Yep.
But effective recoil management using fundamentals is kind of like that positive feedback that you are doing proper fundamentals.
Sure as hell, yeah.
So if you are able to stay on target, if you're able to watch your hit, that is an immediate feedback that you were doing good fundamentals. You see what I'm saying? So that to me is one of the reasons why recoil management is an important thing. And that's kind of, again, some of the wives' tale, and you got people that free recoil, let's say. There's shooters out there that believe in, free recoil and that kind of, and I think, to me, that's nonsense, because if you're not able to control recoil or manage it with your proper positioning, then how are you accurate?
You're exactly right. Well, listen, we have the solution right here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is Eric Cortina watching our fucking show right now?
Yes, is that legit him?
Well, let's just say it is. I have no idea why, but thank you if it is.
Hey guys, do you want to know how to tell that you've made it in the gun industry?
Oh, you're getting out ahead of your skis here a little bit.
Well, he says it's him.
Was he here when we talked about his land jump video? That's awesome.
I'm not
maybe
sure.
Maybe he just joined us. We're if that is you, Mr. Cortina, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. We were talking about you earlier when you were a video series that you did on jumping the lands.
Yeah.
So what a coincidence that he's on the show.
Don't chase the lands. Yeah.
Shortly after. Yeah.
But he offered everybody the solution to recoil.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't neck size.
His EC tuner brake. Go ahead and look it up, folks. It's a wonderful piece of machinery from what I've been told.
That is something that I hear a lot about, is neck sizing as being a very, very, you have to neck size, and now you got this guy saying he doesn't.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
So what was let's talk about that real quickly. The wives' tale being that you have to neck size. Now, obviously, legends like Eric Cortina saying that you don't, that he doesn't.
Understanding.
This is a rabbit hole in itself.
Yeah.
But
So my understanding, again,
is this the wrong time of the show to be doing this?
Bullet tension.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Kurt.
Well, that's definitely part of it.
Okay.
Definitely part of it. Like it originates, I think, back with the old bench rest shooters and that. They typically ran a very loose neck tension got the bullets close to the land because everybody believed that that was the place to find accuracy, the only place to find accuracy in a lot of guys' minds, and as close a fit as you can get between that brass and chamber was the optimal way to go. Now, counter that to that, Sierra Bullets has said for years and years and years. Maybe somebody with Sierra Bullets had said at one time, you want your ammunition to fit your rifle like a rat turd in a violin case. So what is that? So that comes back now to concentricity and consistency of your ammunition. So the whole, you can run into a lot of troubles when you're only neck sizing, and a lot of guys that have tried it like me up until about 10 12 years ago or something like that used to do that, but you run into troubles where that brass case expands to a certain point where you have trouble then extracting that, and nobody wants that shit.
No.
So yeah, like refine your practice of resizing brass so that you have adequate room for that to expand naturally, like it does, like it has to, with all that pressure. Don't oversize, have good neck tension, good concentricity, good consistent loading practices, and go. Don't worry about it, and fucking shoot, and put an Eric Cortina brake.
Get a tuner on there.
That's right.
Calm your rimfire rifle right down.
Yes. For the Scotties out there, yeah, it'll take the bark out of that, the bite out of that that massive 22 long rifle.
Did you guys? Did I put that comment up earlier when Scott was saying that? Or yeah, he said,
yeah,
20-pound voodoo rimfire with no brakes, she boots. Is that like the most?
She boots.
Is that the most prairie way to say that ever? She boots.
Well, you know what?
She boots there, bud.
I think that also originated in Atlantic Canada. The folks down there, she boots, eh?
She boots.
She
We're going
boots,
for
eh?
a rip.
Back to your recoil control too. Not just control, but if you want to learn to deal with recoil, put your rifle away and go shoot trap, skeet, sporting clays. Go shoot a 12 gauge for a few days or a couple of months.
Right.
Or a Nitro Express.
Well, yeah, but that takes a little longer to build up or learn to shoot that right.
Oh, okay.
But seriously, if you go put 5,000 rounds to 12 gauge through a shotgun in a year, you will learn how to deal with recoil, and suddenly 500 Nitro Expresses don't feel that bad. You know, I can remember learning to shoot, and my 270 beat the tar out of me on the bench.
Right.
And took
Yeah.
up shooting shotgun, and I learned how to absorb recoil, and now I can stand in
Right.
behind basically whatever you want to put in front of me.
There's a way, right? There's always a way.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about
another
saying
$10,000
that?
sport to get into.
What's interesting about you saying that is that there are so many different types of loads for 12 gauge. So if you're like super shy on it, you could just pick a light load to start with, and you can progressively increase your.
And you start with an autoloader. Autoloaders soak up a lot of recoil in a 12 gauge.
Yeah.
And work your way up.
So that's what I have to do?
Sure.
Done some studying on it. And it basically, when you shoot offhand, like shotgunning, your body you learn how to absorb the recoil in your arm. You will actually take most of the recoil in your arm, like up 60-70% of the recoil isn't in your shoulder, it's in your arm. It's off that dominant hand coming off the pistol grip. And that's where you absorb a lot of your recoil. And I'd read about that because I read about guys that were testing like mercury reducers and different recoil pads, and they put pressure sensors like embedded in their shoulder, but they couldn't let the guy shoot the gun. They had to hold the gun against his shoulder so they'll shoot it because he had so much effect off his arm. And the first few times I got in behind big rifles like 458 Weatherby or Winchesters and 416 Rigby's and stuff like that, first few times I was shooting those guns, my whole arm went numb.
Wow.
First time I just thought I'd pinched a nerve. And then another time I was shooting a big gun and it happened again. Then I realized that's what my shoulders weren't sore. I didn't hurt. I was absorbing so much of my arm, and just the recoil was twice what I was used to absorbing on my 12 gauge.
So how does that
like pins and needles?
how does that work then when you're sitting behind a precision rifle and like you don't even have your thumb on the same side as the rest of your hand?
You still absorb some stuff that way. And I mean, you're just
Okay.
talking PRS stuff. You're talking 6.5. You don't have to absorb that much in your arm.
Yeah.
I
But
got
you learn how
okay.
to. But you just learn how to absorb recoil.
You're
period.
talking more like shooting off hand and stuff.
Yeah, and positional and stuff like that. But I mean, anything, you just learn how to absorb recoil in your body, not just in your arm. Your whole body learns how to absorb recoil. Like,
Yeah.
I shoot a lot and a lot of big things at times, and I can't remember the last time I had a bruise on my shoulder ever.
Mhm.
Like, you shoot enough stuff, you learn how to absorb recoil, and I honestly think shooting 12 gauge taught me more about absorbing recoil than anything else I've done in my life.
I would believe that.
Because you just go and you do it like, because you go out and you shoot 100 rounds or 200 rounds back to back.
Yeah.
You do so much of it in a short time. And basically what I've been read is they say when you do that, your body says, I have to find a way to deal with this because this is bullshit.
It'd be interesting to
you
get
develop
behind
a
my
way.
30. I haven't been behind my 30-06 in a long time, especially since I've been changing up my body position behind the precision rifle. It'd be interesting to see what that's like now behind the 30-06. Because that would beat me up pretty good.
Like, you go to a shotgun range and you watch a 13-year-old kid that shoots quite a bit.
Yeah.
And their shotgun barely moves when they shoot.
Mm.
And you could take a 300-pound man out to the range that's never shot shotgun and it just about knocks him on his ass.
Yeah.
And it's all about how to absorb the recoil. It's not about the size of you. It's not about that. It's about how you absorb the recoil.
Technique.
It's exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same thing with rifles. It translates back. It's just that to go out and shoot 200 rounds of 308 just to learn how to absorb recoil is awfully expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we have time to actually cover this, but James is asking.
I wanted to address this before we shut down here, but my opinion, I'm not sure what the rest of you guys have. If you're assuming that you're shooting a factory available cartridge, annealing. Listen, if you have good equipment to anneal every time. If you don't, or if you don't like it, or don't have the time, or whatever, I've discovered that with most, at least the cartridges that I shoot, probably every third to fourth time is what I've sort of discovered with annealing. Now, if you're shooting wildcats, where you formed cases from a different parent case or something like that, that's a totally different story, and it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, anneal.
So again, coming from the mechanical millwright world and working with metals that get subjected to wicked pressures or stresses, and having worked with brass, annealing is something to me that makes sense. I agree with you. If you have it, I would probably do it every time. I don't think
there's no reason not to, honestly.
I don't think you would ever,
if you're doing it right.
Yeah, I don't think you would ever get to the point where you're going to make a case last forever, but you're definitely going to, keep that chamber formed brass for a lot longer by annealing it. That's for sure.
I think so, and it lends itself to consistency as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if Eric Cortina is still with us or not, but Dave's talking for him. he says that Eric says every time.
If you have the ability.
And that's just straight. That's just a metallurgical thing right there to do.
So what about people who never? Oh, he's still with us. So he doesn't need Dave Tree to speak for him. He's still here.
So what about people that don't have the annealing?
Yeah, what about people who never anneal? Like, are they just gonna go through brass faster?
Listen, there's no question they'll get to a point where they probably should be annealing, because they are going to experience some things that are not conducive to feeding or extraction, like or accuracy or
stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's you'll run into the end of brass life quicker, I think. Now, there's also a big dependency on how you resize. I mean, if you resize the living shit out of a case, those cycles are going to be, how do I want to say this? You're going to get increased hardness quicker if you resize too much every time. So a lot of this comes back to your resizing practices, but annealing definitely does help.
I don't know if Jeff B is making a 6.5 Creedmoor joke or if he's being serious, but he says that he anneals his 243 and 3-weight when he converts.
He's being serious because he stretches or reduces that brass a long way.
And, I would think so. Hey,
malleable metals can only go so far before experiencing enough stress to cause you issues, enough material stress. Yep.
Right.
Yep. So.
Well, I don't know, guys. Have we beat this dead horse enough?
Well,
I don't think it's a dead horse. I love this topic. It's never a dead horse with me.
So we'll do it again.
I think it's a lovely conversation, at least once a year.
Lovely.
At least once a year.
Yes.
I had a thought. It was in my brain. I was going to use my mouth to express it.
Son of a.
And now I've completely lost it. It's okay. Carry on.
You'll think of it. Just as soon as we get.
Oh, that's what. No, I just realized it. I think that we need to coin a term here for anything that is like an old wives' tale in the shooting world. So, like, here's what I'm going to compare it to. In the fitness world, you got bro science.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, you gotta eat your protein within 20 minutes when you're done lifting, bro. You know. It's called bro science. So we need a term in the gun industry for these scientific things that aren't really true. And I don't know. I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to put that out into the world tonight.
Yeah. Not necessarily aren't really true, but maybe don't have as much of a place in shooting as they used to.
Or even were true in the past, but technology has made it untrue, but yet it still perpetuates.
That's kind of what I was saying, I think.
I was just saying it a different way then.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. FUD science.
FUD science, yeah.
I think Mike might have just figured it out. It's FUD science.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when I shoot my wascally wabbits, I got to foul my bowels.
Yeah.
What I find when you're sorting through all that stuff on the internet that's full of all that bad information or wrong information, find the guys that can tell you why. Not to tell you what to do. Find the guys who can tell you why.
That is so profound.
I've seen some Eric stuff. He tells you why he does what he does. In the shotgun world, now his name's going to escape me, but there's one instructor. He doesn't teach much different things than the rest of them do, but he's the only guy that tells you why to do it. The rest just tell you because that's what they were told. They don't know why they do it.
Yeah.
And some of it's good information. It works. It's not old wives' tales, but they can't tell you why. Find the guys who can tell you why, and those are the guys you want to learn from.
I've had people reach out to me on DMs after, perhaps a, internet conversation where I was maybe harassing some people's views.
Aggressive? What?
And I am 100% willing to say why, at least why I feel it. And then again, that's this is long range shooting, precision shooting is one of those games where I think there's a few different, because I said so, to skin the cat. But I think it's an excellent point, Oxer. If somebody's willing to sit down and explain their position, it's probably the right answer.
Well, you ask 9/10 of the.
It's not the right reason,
right?
Yeah.
You ask 9/10 of the guys that say, "Oh, I gotta shoot groups at 200 yards because that's where the bullet goes to sleep."
Yes.
Those guys, 9/10 of them, will not have a reason why.
Here's a good
Yeah.
comment from a knowledgeable
Eric's
human
point's
being.
very good.
Yep.
So it's just for our audio listeners who are catching the audio version. Eric Cortina is saying also learn from the people that have changed their opinion over time. That means that they're still learning.
And have
That's
the
what a contradictory thing too, because like most of the time people, oh well, he said this and now he says this, and you would use that as a reason to discredit a person. But if you think about it for a second, it actually makes sense. If they change their opinion over time, it means they're still learning.
Yeah.
And things change. Look at the industry. Look at how what's available changes.
Yeah, well,
If
like
we'd
you were
had this
saying, even just in the
factory
last
ammo
10
versus
years.
reloads 10 years ago, there'd have been very little argument for factory ammo.
Sure. Yep.
Wouldn't have been much of a conversation.
No, that's right. Alex P. If you're near the Swift Current area, then gun store in town is selling 20 round packages of 303 for $45. That's actually special in this day and age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think I was seeing comments that Canadian Tire was like $76 for a 20 round box of 303.
Couple of times
Good
over
Lord.
the last
One
couple
time
of
you could
times
have
over the
bought a
last couple of
20-pack
years I've
rifle
seen
for
it in
that.
the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
You know, I want to expand on what Eric said there about people learning to change their mind or expand. Probably one of the most profound things I heard from the people that I know. We all know Ryan McLean, MDT, fantastic shooter, right?
Yep.
His background is F class, if I understand correctly, and that's a win game, 100%, right? Like the rifle and all that is such caliber that it's really not an issue in what you're trying to achieve. It's wind, right?
Yeah.
And Shane Mansour of Ian Precision is looking to move into F class to learn, right? He doesn't, not so much because he wants to be an F class guy. He wants to stay with the, PRS and ELR, but he wants to learn more. He realizes that, you know what, there's a discipline. They're a bit weird over there on that side of the world, but
aren't we all?
But he's going over there. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, and he spent time talking with Ryan, and I'm like, man, that to me was, I was taken back by that. I was like, that's incredible. That's
they have their own sort of subset of knowledge, experience, that you would be a fool to not glean from them.
Well,
to apply to your chosen game, if
Sure.
it is a different game. I mean, lots of those guys have spent years at that, and their observations of what happens when you pull the trigger in this condition, what it results in downrange. And they've seen it time and time again. And you talk to so many of those guys, and it is so predictable, at least in their minds, what they're describing in that. And lots of those guys that they'll look at the flag or look at the grass or whatever, and oh yeah, that's 3 clicks.
You can imagine
that. But it works.
You're
like if you can get some of that from them, it's all the power to you.
Yep. So just that's some fantastic stuff, fantastic news, or not news, but considerations.
Absolutely. All right.
Does that mean I got to shut it down now?
Shut what down specifically?
The show. No,
I think it's time.
Is it time? Do you guys want to say anything and any parting shots?
If you are reloading and flexing that you are grouping at 25 yards, you've missed the point.
If you're
and Rooster knows what I'm talking about.
Did you say flexing about grouping shots at 25 yards?
Yeah.
True story.
There's a story.
I wasn't doing that though.
No. This is
nobody here.
Nobody here. Oh. This is the good old internet stuff. Yeah.
25-yard groups, hey?
Yeah, and that's why you reload.
Are we? Yeah. Okay. All right.
It was an interesting thread. The little bit that I did see. Whatever.
You've missed the point.
So Eric doesn't want us to end the show.
I got nothing to
Sorry.
do.
I'm not sure what to do here. I mean, I don't want to piss off a celebrity,
Yeah.
but we're already a half an hour over our usual time.
Well, where do we go then, smart guy?
Well, I think what we need to do is remedy this. We're going to have another
Oh.
show, and we're going to have
Yeah.
to include Eric on the show. I think.
Look at that.
I-
That right
I
there.
think you're
Tell
right.
the crazy stories we've all heard. There you go.
Yes.
That's part of the
Actually,
Bud lore.
that would be one hell of a show, I think.
Yep.
Well, I think we're just going to have to send him an email and make it happen then.
All right.
I think I'll do that in the morning for sure.
And at the risk of upsetting him, if you are still watching the show right now and you haven't hit like or a thumbs up or given us a heart or whatever else it is on whatever platform that you're watching us on, please
I
make
accept
sure
cookies.
that you do that. Kurt accepts cookies. And please check out the show at facebook.com/BS podcast. Leave us a review to let us know how we're doing. Also, if you like our content, please give a like on the Facebook page, subscribe to us on the YouTubes, and share it around to other people because, as you know, content like ours doesn't seem to pass algorithm mustard very often. Also, you can email us any questions that you might have. Why do we still have that in there? Why do we still have that? You can email us any comments that you may have. We'd love to hear from you. It's info@bspodcast.ca. Don't email us questions. We don't have good answers anyways. And also, as always, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we would just be a couple of doorknobs on the internet talking to each other, even though we live a couple of blocks away from each other and can just talk in person.
And we like our own spaces, okay?
Yeah.
Don't judge.
We're talking about Shane and Steve, Miles, Carrie and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil Odell, Doug and Niza, Vanya, and Carly and Oscar, who is right below me on your screen with Redstone Gunsmithing. Thank you guys an immeasurable amount. Rob, thanks for joining us for this conversation. This was so much better having you and Oscar on here talking to Kurt about technical stuff than me, talking about idiocy for the entire hour and a half.
Yes, I'll agree. And thanks, Eric Cortina, for showing up. We're honored.
Yes.
People check out his podcast, Believe the Target. You won't be disappointed, I'm sure. All right, folks. Thanks very much for showing up.
Oh, man, I missed my cue so bad.
So it's you.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS. Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.